What's up? Today I'm going to go through a review and a test of a new app. I think it's newish, called GOWOD. GOWOD? GOWOD, yeah. So I believe in the app you test, it's all about mobility. You can test your mobility in different areas of the body, and then if you subscribe to their paid plan, I think you get kind of a custom plan for improving your own mobility restrictions, and it gives you kind of a score for each area. So I'm going to give it a go today. I'll do their free mobility test, see how I get on with my mobility, with the tests, and just get a general overview of the app, how useful it is, and I'm sure it's pretty good. This isn't like a sponsored post video or ad or anything like that. I just saw the app and I wanted to do the mobility tests myself. Haven't done them yet, got no idea how it's going to turn out, but I thought it'd be useful to film and just share with you guys, and yeah, so you can maybe give it a go too. So let's get to it, and then I'll share some of my thoughts at the end. Cool. Okay, let's open up. Hopefully my battery doesn't die before it loads. Okay, cool. So we can do the mobility test. So far I'm on 0, which is probably about right at the moment. Okay, shoulders. So here we're testing internal rotation, I imagine. That's what it looks like. It's kind of like that sleeper stretch. Let's give it a go. Let's go here, and then we're testing to see how much internal rotation we have. Oh, your fingers touching down. Trying not to let the shoulder come off the floor. If you allow the shoulder to come up, then it's a lot easier. On my right, this shoulder it tends to be a bit stiffer. Fingers are just about touching. Hop down. I'm pretty pleased with that. My shoulders are super stiff, and that, like all these tests I'm going to do now, are completely cold. But yeah, fingers touching. Okay, so we got the second part of the shoulder test now. It's the freeze test. So I think we're doing external rotation here. How far can we rotate backwards? So let's give that one a go. I'm up against the wall for this one. Lower back, upper back and head against the wall. Legs bent, feet flat, arms and elbows at 90 degrees. Okay, that one I find, that one's quite easy. Okay, so we've got hand and wrist touching the wall. Full marks. Okay, the wizard. The next one we're in the same or similar position, and we're testing our overhead mobility. So our flexion of the shoulders. And this is something that I've struggled with in the past, is getting my hands up in that overhead position without flaring my ribs, without compensating elsewhere. So this is going to be interesting. I have been trying to improve this along with external rotation, so it'll be interesting to see how we get on. Give it a go. So, against the wall, lower back against the wall, head, and then we're trying to, okay, so the hands are facing this way. Oh, that is a strain. So I'm getting the fingers, but I'm not quite getting the wrists. I suppose I can push the wrists more so on my left side than my right, interestingly. I'll say fingers touching, I think that's fair. Okay, we're going for the wall squat now. So essentially, I think this one is how close to the wall can you get whilst doing a squat. Oh, actually it's an overhead squat, which is even harder. So I'm gonna move you guys over here. Okay, so we're going, how far away from the wall can you get whilst doing an overhead squat, hip crease below the top of the knee. So it's more than just a half squat. Let's go have a go. So that one wasn't too bad. not the best squat I've done, but it wasn't the worst. And I had about an inch or so. I think it was about an inch from the wall. So I'll select 2 inches. Cool. On to the next one. The next one we're kind of doing like a lotus stretch or a half lotus on both sides. So we're testing external rotation at the hips. I think this one I might not be too bad at, but let's give it a go. So that felt okay. Hips feel a little bit stiff at the moment after squatting this morning. I think I was position 4 then. I'm gonna go position 4. I think I did all right on both sides then. Let's go on to the shield. The shield looks like it's a test of our hip flexion and our tightness in the hip flexors. So I'm gonna put you back down and give it a go. Essentially gonna be laying on my back, grabbing my one knee, pulling it up towards my chest, but only to the point where, or just before, my other leg starts to try and come off the floor. Because then we're starting to compensate through the hips. So yeah, we're testing how far I can get into flexion. Cool. I'm quite happy with that one. Thigh touching torso, I think. My hips tend to be fairly mobile in flexion, in external rotation, but I know one of my weaknesses is internal rotation. So I think that's what we're going to be testing now. Yeah, with the sweeper. So here we're going to be going onto all fours, keeping a neutral spine, and then kind of internally rotating through that hip joint, and seeing how far we get. So the results are no movement, 15 degrees or 30 degrees or more. Shake my bum right at the camera. I think I've got 30 there. I'm gonna go 30 degrees or more on both sides for that. Next up we have a standing forward bend. So we're testing the flexibility really through our hamstrings, through our posterior chain. So keeping the feet together, keeping the legs straightish, and then getting our hands as low as we can. Okay, and we're allowed to round through the back for this one as well. So. All the blood has rushed right to my head. So that felt quite stiff there, and I got my hands to the floor, but that wasn't keeping a neutral spine. So some of that mobility is, I don't think it's necessarily a true test of your hamstring length or your hip mobility. Not that it said that it was that, but yeah, I'll talk more about that once we finish the testing. Here we go. So the next one, the diver, is basically what I just said. So the issue I was thinking with the last one is that you can kind of cheat the test by rounding through the back. This one is basically what I just did, but with a flat back to see, it's more of a focus test of your hamstrings and your kind of through your glutes and without rounded through the back. So let's give that one a go. Oh. So that is much harder. You can't just flop down and just kind of cheat with it. So I think I got fingers to the ankles. I'm not quite sure though. Let's go shins. I think shins was more comfortable with a completely flat back. Let's go back to the wall for the next one. I believe we're going to be looking at our ankle mobility. So here we're doing the knee to wall, keeping our feet flat or our foot flat. We're trying to touch the wall with our knee and not letting your heel lift off the ground. So I think ideally the further away from the wall you can get with your foot whilst your knee is touching, then the more dorsiflexion you have in your ankle, the easier things like getting into a deep squat and yeah, doing sort of lower body mobility stuff, locomotion stuff is going to be. So we've got foot against the wall, feet at 2 inches or feet at 4 inches. So 4 inches is what we're aiming for. Let's go and give it a go. So I'm quite happy with that one. I think I was about 4 or 5 inches then. My heel I could feel was almost starting to lift. I don't think it came off the floor, but I could feel like it almost wanted to. But yeah, quite happy with that one. Now we get my results. Oh, 83%. Okay, this is really interesting. It's come through as a score, 83%, and it's given me a weakness or a thing to focus on as my overhead mobility, and then a strong point is hip mobility. Coming into this, that was kind of what I was expecting to a degree. I know that my overhead mobility is something I need to improve upon and something that is holding me back. I've got a wrist injury at the moment. I'm going to do a video on that, and I think it all ties in. I've been doing a lot of handstand work, a lot of pressing, a lot of stuff on the rings, and if you don't have that underlying base, the foundation of good overhead mobility, things start to compensate. I'm not that great at reaching overhead. I'm also not brilliant at internally rotating. But doing ring dips, doing handstands, paddling on a surfboard, because the shoulders don't have the strong foundation that they need, things like the elbows and the wrists start to take more strain than they need to, and then they can handle. So when you combine that with, I've had previous wrist injuries and a broken arm on this side, there's weaknesses there. Put it all together and it's no wonder that this wrist is injured yet again. So overhead mobility is definitely something that I have been focusing on, but it is something I'm going to focus on even more now, without a doubt. Awesome, so you get the overhead profile configured into your profile for a month, and then you get pre-WOD and daily protocols to be more focused on your overhead shoulder mobility. That's really cool there. So you get a nice graph with it that shows you where you need to work on. So one thing with mobility work, sometimes it is hard to kind of quantify, particularly when you're doing it on your own. You don't have a coach working with you. Using an app like this could really come in handy and could really help highlight areas of your body that you didn't know were stiff or not mobile. Help highlight those so you can work on them and improve your performance and potentially help you avoid or recover from injuries. I like it, yeah, it was really good. It was really easy to use, really self-explanatory. The fact that it just it gives you that graph and then it breaks down what you're already strong in and what you need to work on. I think it's really good. Obviously there's a few limitations. We didn't test every area of the body, but then there's time restraints and you haven't got all day to test everything. So I think it was a good general overview. The other thing that came to mind, particularly when I was doing the first mobility exercise or test, the kind of internal rotation one, there's a bit of a difference between being able to get into a position and being able to be strong and control that position. So you can see on the video that I'm using my arm as assistance, my other arm, to get into internal rotation. And that's kind of what it shows in the demo video to do. I got my fingers down to the ground, but I don't think I would have got there without using that external force. So if that's one little tweak I'd maybe make, is maybe trying to differentiate between getting into a position and being able to get into that position on your own and be strong and stable in that position. But yeah, overall, I really like it and I will continue to use it and see where I am in a month's time with that overhead mobility. I think using an app like this in conjunction with your own mobility training, your own research, your own practice is really valuable, particularly if you want to keep track of things and kind of check in to see where you are. Yeah, it's really useful tool. So you can download the app in the description box below. I'll put a link down to GOWOD. Yeah, I reckon you should give it a go and yeah, give the mobility test a try and let me know what your score is in the comment section below and what your weakness was and what you'd like to kind of improve upon, because every body is going to be different, and it'd be cool to see where you guys are and how much better you are than me with your overhead mobility. Cool, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and feel free to subscribe if you want more videos a bit like this and a bit different too. All about movement, mobility, wellness, adventure, everything in between. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time. Have a healthy, heroic week.